All right. I'm not sure, we had a little blip there. You saw the opening and then it said I wasn't live anymore. So, good morning, everybody. So nice to see you, although I can't really see you, but it's nice to be here with you on this beautiful, beautiful snowy morning here in, I was going to say Las Vegas, haha, here in the Kansas City area. It is absolutely gorgeous. It has been years now since I've seen beautiful snow like this. While we were in Vegas, there were like maybe two times we had maybe 2 inches in 20 years, but this is just fabulous. And after the show, my mother, who's still here with me, we're going to go out on the sun porch, which will be the snow porch today, and open up all the blinds and turn on our little heater out there and drink hot chocolate and just sit there and watch the snow. So she's from Phoenix, I think y'all know, and she is just loving the snow. So we're going to just spend some time sitting out on the porch, just watching the snow. What a blessing that is, right? How about you? What are you doing today? Like a lot of you I know are going to be doing your usual, which is great. Being on Zoom, that's the blessing of technology, because a lot of people will not be getting out in this mess. Oh, you've got about 6 inches. Brenda, what part of town are you in? I'm out in the Raymore area, and I think that's about what we've got too. And yeah, did enough of the sidewalk so that Gabby could go out to go potty this morning, and she did not like it very much because her little paws got just packed with snow. But it's already another inch has come down on top of what he just showed off. So it is continuing to come down. Okay, so you're in Shawnee. So it looks like it's pretty going across town, right? So behind me, as you see the background, this is outside my front door. I thought, well, you know what? I'm just going to put it on here today because it is just so beautiful. I love the snowfall. I like it when I can just be inside. I don't like particularly to be out driving in it. But, you know, if I had to, I could. But they haven't done our street yet. They will be doing that. But Bill said they probably won't until the snow stops. And that's not supposed to be till noon. So we'll probably have another couple inches in the meantime because it's blowing quite a bit as well. Oh, Lisa. Yeah, it is beautiful. It is. It's just so lovely. I don't know. All of the seasons, all of the things in our world are so beautiful. They each have their own special qualities. Y'all heard me say before when I'm traveling across country, when we've driven back and forth to Vegas and California and stuff, and they're all beautiful in their own way. You go up through Utah and those big red mountains. I've never been up that way in the snow because the roads closed and I don't want to get stuck in the snow. But it's just so beautiful, the big rock mountains. And then you get into Colorado with the beauty of the aspen trees and the mountains, the Rocky Mountains, so beautiful. You get into Kansas and, it's all beautiful in its own right. And so, but this morning I am loving the snows. Who else is on here this morning? Okay, so hey, Kathy, good morning. Someone that's just being listed as Facebook user says that's such good snow. I'm told that is good snowman snow. Now, I'm not going to go build a snowman. I imagine my little grandkids will be. Justin will have them out there. I don't have all that paraphernalia. If I could get to his house, like we could go do that, but I don't have the snow pants or the boots. I have a coat and I have gloves, but none of that is like really get out and build a snowman. So, hey, there we go. Now, we're in this process of talking about attitude, and I guess you could there's different attitudes about the snow, right? You could get up and say, oh, I hate this snow, but for whatever, I can't get to work. My meeting's been canceled. That was really important. But sometimes I think we just have to go with the flow. And if you can't get out, how can you change your attitude about it? Like the kids, get a snow day, right? But I remember, when my kids were little, I didn't really love snow days because that meant the kids couldn't go to school. And sometimes, especially after a holiday when they've been off for a couple of weeks, they finally get back to school and then there's a snow day and the kids are back home again. I know that's probably tells you I'm like terrible mom. But the truth is, I think I'm just like a lot of moms that we're ready to get back into the groove because we just got kids got just back in. And Alicia's up there in Wisconsin, and they only have about an inch. And so she said, wait a minute, you guys have got the snow we're supposed to have. So anyway, it's all a matter of perspective, right? So, excuse me. So one thing I'm going to say up front here, and then I'll also say at the end of the show, Kathy, you might have to remind me because, I get sidetracked very well, or at least either one of y'all. Next week is going to be a special week. Alicia is going to be on the show with me. I asked her about that this morning. Next week will be the celebration of her, I've got to make sure I've got it right, her 13th year of being clean and sober. So 13 years she's been clean and sober. And I remember the date so well because it was my 60th birthday. And so when I think of that birthday, what I think about is having the intervention for her. She made the right choice, and now she's been clean and sober for 13 years. So I'm really, really, really proud of her. And I tell you, God has done great things in her life and in our relationship, because to be honest with you, it was hard. We had a lot of really, really hard years that I wasn't sure it was going to ever come together. But God, in his goodness, he can do everything. He is the great Redeemer. So that gives you a preview to the show next week. Alicia will be talking about, I'm not sure what else she'll talk about. It'll probably just go by osmosis. It'll be organic and it'll go where it's supposed to go. But just about her leading up to her addictions, and then how it's been since she's been out, and clean, and now has a family. So anyway, so I look forward to that, and you can mark your calendars if you'd like, and I'll be reminding you as well. So, all right, let's see here. So Facebook user, who are you? You're going to have to give me your name because it is not telling me. You said no snow days up here, wherever that is. And this one says, Mom is my bestie. And that's really wonderful. So that's how Alicia and I are right now. My mom as well. We really enjoy doing things together. And we catch the train on Wednesday. We'll be heading back and take her back home to Phoenix. So I love talking about this subject. And I'm going to point out that basing what I talk about on John Maxwell book here, The Winning Attitude. Let's see if I can get that in there right. The Winning Attitude by John Maxwell. And it's just really, it's just a great book. One of the things that he talks about is if you want to accomplish your goals, if you have things that you want in your life, you have to be in a constant place of growing. If you're growing, then you have the chance for your dreams and your goals to come true. But if you're not, chances are your dreams and goals are not going to come true, because we have to, as people, as humans, we have to keep growing and learning and expanding ourselves. And that's what gives us that ability to achieve those various goals and things that we have in our lives. So in this book, so the chapter today that we're talking about is actually chapter 4, a little bit of chapter 4 and 5. It says it's hard to soar with the eagles when you live with the turkeys. You think, well, yeah, that sounds really cutesy, but what does that mean? He says here, our surroundings control our soaring, how far you're going to soar and how far you're going to go. So turkey thinking plus turkey talk equals turkey walk. So in general, who you hang around with, it could be people in your family, could be friends, could be associations or meetings that you go to. Who you hang around determine a lot of how far you're going to go. If you're surrounding yourself with negative people who are always talking doomsday kind of thing, that is where your mind is going to be. That's what you're going to be thinking and talking about, and that's what your life is going to become. And I think we sometimes forget how important that is. And I know you've all heard, especially y'all that are on here, you guys are amazing, amazing people. I love sharing my life with you. But we know that that they say that you are like the 5 people that you most associate with. So who you surround yourself with and the people you spend the most time with are a reflection of who you are and where you are in your life. So taking that look around, and here's what I say. Actually, y'all know I've had y'all do this exercise numerous times. You actually write the 10 people that you spend time with on a regular basis. And then you go through and you just say, oh, okay, this person makes me feel terrible. After I've been with them, I feel negative. I feel bad about myself. And then I always wish I'd never gone. You have any people like that in your life? So you put a negative by their name. And then you have people that it's fine. You go out, you have a nice time, nothing bad, but nothing particularly great. It's just okay. You put a little circle by their name. And then these are the eagles. The people that you get together with, that when you're finished, when you go home, you feel better about yourself. You feel positive. You feel like you can take on the world. You just feel good about who you are after spending time with them. Those are the people you want to spend the most amount of time with, because that helps set your attitude. You get constructive, and that's what he's talking about here. We get to construct our attitude by, one, the people that we hang around, and then the people that are associated in our lives, because they will have similar thinking within that culture there. You've even heard, or you've seen, you may even know people that after married people who are married have been together for many years, they begin to kind of look alike and talk alike, because they spend so much time with each other, and they pick up hopefully on all the good habits, but there's some bad, there's some not so great habits that happen too. But I know that y'all have probably seen that, and even in families with adopted kids, because our environment does control a lot of our attitudes and who we are and how we behave, so to speak. So I think that's important. John goes through here and he talks about several things that I want to bring out to you about what controlled foundational truths, is what he calls it. Foundational truths about construction of the attitude. So if you think about it, it really makes so much sense, but oftentimes we just don't stop and think about it. Karen, good morning. Oh, and Kathy, thank you. I love birthdays. Yep, next week's my birthday. And Alicia's birthday is a type also. And Kathy, happy birthday back to you. Your birthday was this week. So we are soul sisters, girl. And we're going to have lunch or something together. So I'm excited about that. So yeah, good morning, everybody. All right, so here we'll start with the foundational truths. And he says, before we look at specific things that help construct our attitudes, we need to understand some basic principles. And the first one is, a child's formative years are the most important in instilling the right attitudes. Child specialists talk about that child development in those early years is just so important, and it makes such a big difference. The attitudes that they pick up in the home. Scripture tells us, and I guess it's Proverbs 22:6. It says, train up a child in the way he should go, and they will not depart from it. So those attitudes of, I'd say, starting even from the spiritual side of who is God, and does God love us, or is God just a punishing God? Is always that happens. Some households believe God is just a big God. They're shaking his fist and yelling at us and all that. And then there's those that really believe God is a God of love, and who is there to help us, to love us and take care of us and provide for us. So that is really important as well. And you might think of things that you've done in your life that sometimes actually John gives an example here where he says he wanted to play golf. So he started playing golf, and he didn't take any lessons or anything. He just went out and started playing. And he had a terrible slice. So it means when he would hit the ball, it would go way out over to the left. And so instead of trying to learn how to do it correctly, he just kept doing it, but he would change where he'd stand to get the ball to come into the fairway. So if any of y'all have ever played any golf, you know what I'm talking about. I have, and I've had some of those slices as well. But I have taken a lot of lessons to straighten that up. Been so long now that I'm not sure what my golf game would look like. Might start back here in the spring once when spring comes. Look at that. But what he's saying is, you can develop an attitude. You can develop a way of life that you just assume that's the way that it has to be. But if you're willing to find help, if you're willing to learn and to grow and do it a different way, you can change that slice of your golf swing so it'll go straight. And those same things in your attitude of your life. As we're growing up, we assume a lot of things and we wind up believing in the lies that we assume are true as we're growing up. There could be things in your household, depending on how you were raised, the culture, so to speak, of your actual family. Well, his thing on this was he asked a friend, a really good golfer, and he said, "What's wrong with my game?" He asked, and the guy said, "Everything." So he immediately decided he'd go get a golf coach and learn how to straighten up his game. And it's harder to take something you already know, like the golf swing, and have to relearn it and learn how to do it right. Whereas as soon as we can notice those attitudes that are wrong or that you don't want to have, those negative kind of things, if you can grab those and change them immediately and notice it, and change them to positive, it's easier to start out that way. Again, we can't go back and recreate from the beginning of when we were born in our childhood, but once we know what they are, that's the crucial point, really understanding what the attitudes you have and some of those lies that you just accepted that are true in your life, which may or may not be. Okay, so it's important to really look at that. And here's I was talking about this just a minute ago, where he said number 2 is an attitude's growth never stops. So we continue. You're already there and everything's perfect. Okay, first of all, anytime we're looking at that word perfect, probably a good time to stop and take a look around and see, because it takes that growth. As we keep growing as people, as an individual, our attitudes grow. We learn more about maybe those areas. And I think God brings it to our awakening. There's things in your life that as we go along, that the Father will show us and say, it's time now to change this particular attitude or this particular behavior. But maybe 5 years ago, we weren't ready for that change. And so God brings it to our mind so we can make those changes when we need it. It's really, very important to do that. And number 3 is, the more our attitude grows on the same foundation, the more solid it becomes. So really, what are the habits? What are the things that you're doing that are reinforcing those positive behaviors, those positive attitudes? This is where you really want to look at, what are you watching? What are you reading? What are you telling yourself? He gives not an idea. He gives an example of his father, who every day took a 3x5 card and wrote like one particular quote or a positive attitude or something that meant something to him. Then all day long, he would just take it out of his pocket and he would, say it to himself and read that to keep his mind focused on where he wants to be. A little bit of that, I'm going to take a little takeoff on that, our word of intention. If you take your word of intention and you put it around you, like on your refrigerator or right on the edge of your computer, that word will help you get focused. It's easy to get off focus. I mean, come on, as women, we're always, attending to other people. What does somebody need now? Your kids or your husband or whatever that is in your life. And some of us, I'll be the first to admit, some of us run after the shiny object. Oh, I'm gonna let go of that for him. I'm gonna go see what this is all about. And last year I really focused on not doing that, and I did a pretty fair job. I'm not perfect, like I said, it was perfect anyway, but really not running after and just signing up for everything that I did. I love to grow. I love to learn. And so I'll hear about a program or something and I'll think, I bet that is great. But I committed to myself, I was not going to add on any new program until I had taken advantage of the ones I was already in. I was already in a couple of programs and I wasn't using the resources that I had. So like I said, last year was my year. I was not going to just jump into other programs and things. So this year, as y'all can see up there, Be Bold is all about being bold in my faith, to share my faith, being bold as I share my life with all of you, being bold in how we walk together. So that's what that is. So the more our attitude grows on that good foundation that we want, the scriptures and as Christians what we want our life to be, the more solid it becomes. Now, number 4 is many builders or specialists help construct our attitudes at a certain time and place. So you think about if you were building a house, you're going to have a lot of specialists that do certain things in your house. You don't need them for the whole house. You just need them for that particular thing. And I think that as we walk our journey, there's those people that come into our lives that really help us for that amount of time. And it's really, let's see if I can get this right, that you've heard the saying, there's people that come into your life for a reason, because you need them or they need you, or they come in for a season. It's just a short amount of time that just that person was important for that time or for a lifetime. So we all have some of those that have been along the way. And when you look at that, those, I like how I call them the specialists in our life that come in for that kind of time. And those people also help to shape or construct this attitude of our life that we want to have. And sometimes some of the things that can happen really can stunt someone's growth. One of the ones that I hear is, as a musician and as a singer, I've heard people will say, oh, well, I can't sing. And I'll say, yes, you can. You may not be a soloist to stand up on a stage, but you can sing. Do you sing in the shower or something? And I've had a couple of people say, no, I don't sing anymore because my third grade teacher told me I was tone deaf and not to open my mouth. First of all, I'd like to slap that teacher. That's not very Christian. But it's horrible to say those kind of things to a child or to humiliate a child in front of the classroom. There was an example that he gave on that. And that hurts. And it takes years and work to get over that. Because sometimes we don't recognize it right away until later when we're really looking at ourselves and some of those, like I said, those lies that we've grown up believing. Who knows why they would say that? Okay. All right, I'm going to look over here. Let's see. Oh, hey, Karen. Good morning. Lisa, blooming is my word this year. Yes, I think that's a beautiful word, Lisa. That is great. And you are blooming, my girlfriend. Hey there, Barbie. Barb, good morning. And Kathy, you can clear a room with your singing. So is that why you only probably sing in the shower in your house? I've never sat beside you singing, so I don't really know if that's true. But you know what? The scripture tells us, make a joyful noise unto the Lord. He didn't say, sing beautiful or solo. He said, make a joyful noise, right? We can all do that. So I love that. And destiny helpers. Oh, Barb, I like that. So those are the people that come into our life, and they may not be forever. There have been a few of those that I've had that I was so sad that they weren't a part of my life anymore for whatever the reason. But I began to look at it like that was the perfect time that God brought that person into my life to help me during a certain time. So we have those. And you might sometimes just sit down and think about who are some of the people that came into your life for a short season and look at this, like, how did God grow you during that time? Why was that person important in your life? And then his 5th one says there is no such thing as a perfect, flawless attitudes. It's just, he calls it remodeling, as we're remodeling. So I guess we're talking about the whole construction, right? You have a house, you have experts that need to come in and help you. And for some of us, it's been coaches. I've had several coaches who just so made a difference in my life. The first coach I had, now so when I was in Mary Kay, we always had many people who were there to support and teach you and everything. So anyway, they were all coaches. But the first official coach that I hired really made a difference. My first one, and I was in Mary Kay, and I hired her to help me through some things in Mary Kay. And then my second one is the one who told me I was a speaker, and I told her, no, I'm not. And she said, yeah, Delinda, you are. And so it's like, oh, okay. So it took me a couple of weeks to say, oh, you know what? She's right. God's had me speaking for 20 years, and I didn't know I was a speaker. Like, pay attention to your life. Pay attention to what the people say around you. I kind of have this rule of thumb. If I've been told something 3 times, then I think, okay, so this is more than just a passing thought. One of the examples I can give you about that, I I had this attitude that I had to be perfect. And that is, I'm getting way past that. I'm getting much, much better as I grow. I was so afraid to do a video, y'all. Everybody was saying, okay, it's not good enough to just talk it, or be on a podcast. Those are all good. Everything's all good. But the video part just bothered me. I thought, well, what am I going to say? And who wants to even hear it anyway? That's one of those negatives that zips into the brain every now and then. So I had a coach tell me, she said, Delinda, everything is going video. You've got to learn to do video. I didn't want to do it. And I can't remember who the second person was. Then the third person, by the time I got to my third actual coach, she said, enough, you are going to do it now. And you're going to learn. So I took a weekend and I sent myself on my own personal retreat. And I took my camera, I think it was a camera because this was a number of years ago. It was before I was doing, the phone that now is our camera. And I took 3 days in that weekend and I did about, 7 or 8 videos. I scripted it out just to get used to talking on the camera. And then I did post them. You go back in my YouTube stuff, you can go back to, you'll notice so many hairdos and you'll notice so much hair color. I actually am blonde, a total blonde in one of them because I don't know, I just decided to try it. So it is growing, y'all. And so my very first one that I did as a live video, and the name of it was You Don't Have to Be Perfect. And I got up, Bill had by this point, Bill had my camera and he taped me. We were at the Royals spring training at a VRBO. I stood out by the pool and I just talked about, hello out there, everybody. You don't have to be perfect. I'm so not perfect. I'm just out here telling you can do this. And so obviously it's grown. I talk on video all the time now. We allow those things to hold us back, especially that perfect part. Because if you're going to wait till you're perfect, you're not going to do anything. I promise you, if you wait till perfect, because perfect never happens. So just keep growing and trying to just tweak what you do. Just get a little better every time. John used the example here of an airplane, and I guess it's called, I don't know much about it. It's called the word trim, and that every aircraft has to be trimmed. So while they're flying, they're tweaking and trimming this to make sure that the plane stays level and it stays the right altitude. So we have to do that same thing. Finding out ways where we need to change our attitude. Where's something that you have a bad attitude about and maybe you haven't even realized? And maybe knowing the places where you have a great attitude, you can share that with other people and helping those around you understand too. Really pointing out when they have a great attitude about something sometimes sheds light so they can realize, well, if this is a great attitude, maybe I should take this same attitude of growth and flexibility or loving change. Change is one of those that a lot of people have a really hard attitude. Change is always going to happen, y'all. If there's anything consistent, it is change. Once you learn to not resist it, once you learn to not push back with all change and begin to embrace it, your life totally changes, your attitude, but your life changes because when you're embracing change, then God has all these blessings out there for us. But it's in our attitude. How do we do it? It's like, no, I don't want change. I don't want change. I did tell Bill yesterday, we were putting away the Christmas stuff, and said something about that. And he said, well, this should be fine. It's not going anywhere. We're not, it's not going to be a moving truck. And I said, oh, please do not have us move another time. And, as soon as I said, I was like, oh, Lord, I'm not resisting, but I really don't want to move at least for 10 years. That would be nice. So anyway, so there we are, you guys. We're at the top of the hour, and this took us through chapter 5 here in the book. So just really remember those things. I'm going to point them back out to you again, because as you go through the week, be thinking of that and looking at your attitude and where's God maybe showing you that you have a little place where you need to have a little attitude adjustment. So he says we need to remember, number one, that a child's formative years, and for us as grandparents, as a grandma, it it's important for us to realize that we can make a difference in those grandchildren's lives. And that even though, we say, well, your child's formative years, we can't go back. However, we can instill great values and positivity into their lives. Number 2, attitudes growth never stops. We've got to keep growing. 3, the more our attitude grows on the same foundation, on those positive foundations, the stronger it becomes. And that you will sometimes have people come into your life, those specialists, those experts, those, what did Barb call it? Destiny helpers, who come into our life to love and appreciate them, whether it's for a short term or a long term. And then number 5, there's no such thing as a perfect, flawless attitude. We just keep growing and tweaking as God keeps using us. So there we are. So thank you for joining me today. I just love that you would share the morning with me. Let's see. Oh, Kathy, that's good. 300 days it takes to put the tree back up. And that's, I've never counted them, but I guess I could try. I knew, like, okay, I told Bill, okay, so about 11 months, we'll get all this stuff back out again. So, but I love Christmas. I love getting it out. And the Christmas lights that we had put on the house are still up because the people that put them up are coming back. And my mother said, put it on during the day in the snow. That'd be really pretty. So I did. I went outside and I turned them back on because who cares? I think they look beautiful and they sparkle in the snow. So great. Thank you for being here. I love you guys. Next week, Alicia will be here joining us. And you might want to share that with friends, especially if you know someone who is dealing with the life, of having someone in their family that is an addict. It's a hard row. And I don't think. The whole message will be that there is hope. Honestly, y'all, I just couldn't see it. But when the scripture tells us that God gives us more than we can possibly think or imagine, trust me when I say the relationship that I have with Alicia now, the woman that she's become, I could never imagine that because we were so deep in the grit of it. It was hard. And God redeemed it. He is the great redeemer. He's a great healer. So join us next week for that. And in the meantime, remember that life is not a matter of chance. It is a matter of choice. So choose wisely. Go out there and think about those attitude adjustments that you might need to make. And have a fabulous, fabulous week. Take care, everybody. Love you. See you next time.